Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, we're going to be talking about the 4 sensory types. And I've got a great, wonderful guest. Her name is Rachel Honey. She's a holistic intuitive energy practitioner. And I think this is going to be a really fascinating, interesting conversation. Can't wait to have it. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Lyn, for having me.
Okay, so the 4 sensory types, we were talking a little bit off air. Specifically, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in this particular topic.
Sure. So I actually, this is a very similar to personality types, but much more deeply rooted and hard-coded. And I was always interested in personality types when I was in the corporate world and understanding those. Being an empathic person, I not only want to understand about myself, but I'd like to understand about the other people around me so that I can help better get things done, do what needs to do, move on in a positive manner. And so I stumbled upon Donna Eden probably close to 10 years ago, before I started going through my journey, when I was still in in the corporate world. And I remember buying her course because it was a money back guarantee. And I remember it was so much money, but way back then I was given all the documents ahead of time. So I printed them out real quick and unfortunately got my money back because I just couldn't do it at the time. But what she was teaching, just different ways that you can move your energy through your body. It's amazing. She herself had so many significant life issues that she couldn't walk at one point in time. And she was blessed with the gift of being able to see energy and be able to work with and learn about and grow her practice in a way that she was able to heal her life. And between her husband, and her daughters, she teaches this amazing method called the Eden Energy Method. And it is just absolutely amazing. But at its core, it talks about the 4 sensory types, again, similar to your personality, your Myers-Briggs and your Berkman kind of types. But these are sensory types that you acquire along from as early as an embryo, and you have determined which of your 4 styles you are going to be utilizing, and you utilize all of them. But I specifically want to talk about when we're triggered and when we're stressed. These 4 styles have very specific ways that you are DNA hard coded to react to. So that's kind of what I find it fascinating. And so I kind of wanted to talk about when those styles when each of those styles become active and why in our growth human process, and then describe those styles so that maybe our listeners can maybe kind of start to hone in, and you can be different. You can be all of them. You can utilize all of them. That's why a very introverted person can go out on a stage and give a speech once. They have to step out of the box. Their other sensory type takes over. But I want to talk today more about these sensory types and our most vulnerable and our triggered and our stressed state.
Excellent. Love this topic. So thank you so much for coming on to talk about the 4 sensory types. And I'll leave you to start with which one's number 1.
Awesome. Well, there's not a number 1. They are all equal. They are all part of, as we grow, they become part of our auric field. We can pull them in when we need to, but we are going to start in order of how they're developed. And the first style is kinesthetic, which kinesthetic is the movement of the body which kind of in this instance interprets into feelings. So when you are an embryo, when you are up to say 12 weeks, when that heartbeat kind of starts, the only thing you are aware of is the feeling around you. If mommy is happy, you are happy. If mommy has heartburn, your world is being rocked no matter what. If something bad is happening outside circumstances and all you feel are mommy's feelings, mommy's emotions, mommy's or not mommy, but the womb holder, the heartburn, the pain, whatever it is, your world is being rocked. So you are either feeling good or feeling bad. So the first one that we come up on as soon as our embryos and the embryo itself can sense, it is a feeling sense. So it is called the kinesthetic style. Around the time we grow ears, so 14 to 16 weeks in the womb, around the time we grow ears, obviously we now start to hear things. So the second style that appears is the tonal style. Mommy may be having heartburn and your world might be getting rocked, but mommy is singing a lullaby. It is a soothing thing. So you are being reassured that even though there's heartburn, it's okay. So now you start to hear perception of things. And these basically turn into how we pull energy in and decode energy within ourselves. We either do it by feeling it, we do it by hearing it. Okay, so the third style comes into play shortly after birth when, holy cow, our eyes open and now we can see. So now we have been introduced to the visual style and that we can now see things. And so now we see and we learn mommy is safe, daddy is safe, whoever is in our inner, if we think back to caveman times, our inner cave, we have to protect. So if we visually see a threat now, our world is rocked and we know that something has to be done in order to keep that safe. Around between 6 months and a year, maybe even so much as up to the age of 2, we now start to learn things in a digital way. We learn how to take information and store it. We learn how to process and get that information back quickly to remember things. And we start to have more of a digital analytical putting things into boxes and plans. And so then we come into the fourth and final style, which is the digital style. So those are the 4 styles. And at the latest, by the age of 2, your being has adopted whichever one of these has done it the most good. And it is hard coding into your DNA. And so as you grow up, as your as stressors enter your body, enter your world, as triggers enter your world, you adapt in, depending on your sensory type, a specific way. And I definitely want to go into those more, but I kind of wanted to pause at the 4 types and see if we had any thoughts or questions or anything.
It's really fascinating. I've never heard of this before, so this is all new to me. So no, I'm happy to hear what else you've got to say, because like you said, you do have all of these 4 within you, but I'm assuming there's one predominant one that serves you. Is that for the rest of your life, or can that change to another more dominant alternate type?
I honestly can't answer that with any kind of backup, like statistical backup, because I'm not sure if it's even been done. But just knowing humanity as I know it, and what I do know is for the most part, it's going to stay the same. Now, you could, because our personalities stay the same for the most part, but you could have a significant event happen. Anything could happen where you do things that are now different, and you in your core change. You know, people go through huge changes like that, then theoretically you could adopt another one, but honestly, I don't think so, unless something huge. It's not something that you can, I mean, you can train others to be stronger. You can train yourself to, you know, to learn and to do things. But in that triggered moment, if you are truly triggered in the way that pretty much everything goes out the window, all the blood drains from your brain, you truly are not thinking, and you're running on that fight, flight, adrenaline, you're going to go to that core no matter what.
Very interesting. So you explain more for us, Lyn, Rachel. I'm really interested to hear.
All right. And hopefully hold off until the end before you make judgments, because I made a judgment on mine and was totally blown away when she got to the one that was actually mine. So I'd ask to hold off on making judgments, but kind of sit here and feel through, and I think you're going to know or feel which one you are. And you absolutely can have a secondary and the third one down. So you'd be really strong in your primary and be pretty darn strong in your secondary. But you can usually, and there's ways to energy test. There's ways to energy test that to see exactly which, for me to be able to tell which one that you are. It's a bit harder distantly, but when you're right in front of me, we can easily, there's 4 different things I can do real quick, and while you're thinking of a stressor, and I can tell you which one you are. So that's pretty cool. But okay, so I would just ask, don't judge until I get to the end, because you never know what you might actually be. But I'm going to start with the kinesthetic, since that's the first one that we started with. And for the kinesthetic, again, we're talking feeling. It is everything you feel. It is your empaths, your healers. In normal everyday people, are your healthcare workers are great as kinesthetic sensory types. But when you go into fight or flight, so that's all we're talking about now, is when you're triggered, when you're in fight or flight. This is how a kinesthetic person is more likely to react with the world. So there's no analytical or logical thinking. It's empathic to a fault. They suffer with you. They acquiesce to the other people's needs. Compulsive enabler, because they want to make sure, their biggest motto is, I don't want my partner to suffer or feel wrong. And they feel what that is. So, when you look at their eyes, usually they're more straight down. There's no eye contact. There's no other kinds of signs. Usually they're straight down. They're more into their self and feeling what's going on here. There's a difficult, so you're cut off from the rest of the world. There's a difficulty with discerning things, because right now all you can live in is those emotions that you're feeling in this moment right now. So the way that you feel right now, this is how it's going to be. So you now kind of overgeneralize everything that's going on here. And when this is heightened and all of this internal feeling is going on, it's hard to put your feelings into words. You get stuttered, you get clustered up in here. You lose your truth. You can't get out, because you're overwhelmed, and it's everything empathic and feeling would put in mind. And then, basically it just builds up because it's all internal, and then it just explodes or it leaves. But it's all internal, it's all feeling, and it's all making sure that I'm taking care of everything around me. So you're always pulling from your glass is empty. You're always trying to make sure that everybody else's needs are taken care of before yourself. So you are, usually I don't like using the word neurotic, but it's a good, you're always the antsy trying to make sure that that everybody else is being taken care of, which then obviously equates into the compulsive enabling. So that's the kinesthetic feeling kind of empathic style. And I want to pause just to see if you've got any questions or any thoughts or anything so far.
Yeah, I certainly can resonate a little bit with what you're saying there. I'm not sure if that actually relates to me, because I'm keeping an open mind, like you said, and want to hear the whole lot before I make a decision. But whether something resonates more. But yeah, very interesting. Happy to hear more about the next few sensory types.
Absolutely. And that was me. I thought I was kinesthetic all the way. And then we hit the one that actually is mine, which is the tonal style. So the tonal style, if you think about the eyes and where people, when you're talking to somebody, where they look, tonal is you're looking down and to the side because you're trying subconsciously, you need to hear more than you need to see. So you're kind of looking down into the side when it's the eye movement versus the kinesthetic, which is kind of looking down and into them. You're trying to get your ear, because to the tonal, sound is very, very personal. So a tonal can be hurt more by the tone of somebody's voice than the actual words that come out of their mouth. A tonal person hears between the lines, almost sonar-like hears between the lines. So in a normal everyday life, tonals are very, very good therapists, because they can hear what you're not able to say and be able to get that back to you in a way that you can learn, grow, and heal from. But when a tonal goes into triggered stress moment, a tonal hears and reads between the lines through a decoder ring based on their own personal trauma. And so that's where it goes downhill in the stress part for tonals, is that they read between the lines in what's being said, what's not being said, and the tone of the voice. But the deciphering is going through a decoder ring of a traumatic event that happened to them. So they are basing it solely on what they have gone through and only what they have gone through. So small little specks of behavior can exaggerate into huge, tremendous meanings for a tonal person. Tonals suffer over perceived put downs. They may withdraw, falsely feeling rejected. They can easily check out and become absorbed within their own world. They hear their own inner dialogue louder than the actual words they hear, sometimes to a paranoid extent. And then because of that decoder ring, they interpret, analyze, judge, usually themselves, very harshly. And their motto is, I need you to hear me. You're not hearing me. Why are you not hearing me? And so lots of anger, lots of frustration, lots of quick, snappy judging because you're not hearing me. So that's the tonal side, which, yeah, that one absolutely nailed me. So I'm assuming kinesthetic would be my secondary.
Interesting.
All right. So from the visual standpoint, these are people that will look you dead in the eye. They need you to look at them to make sure that they are being understood. They are very visual. They see what's wrong. They know what's wrong. When they see what's wrong, they see what's wrong with you. They cannot in any way see themselves. In no way. They see the issues. They get tunnel vision. And typically those issues are projections of themselves out onto you, but they cannot see that. They see how things should look, should be, so they criticize, they judge, they dismiss you, they're nitpicky, but it's get to the point. This is how you're wrong. Their motto is, you're wrong. This is how you're wrong. But it's not bad that you're wrong. This is how you can fix it. And they're just trying to because they want you to be right and you're wrong, but they want you to be right. So it's like everything they give you is only to help build you up and strengthen you. But the way they do it in their tunnel vision state is very nitpicky, cross-examination, put downy, and always, makes us feel bad, so, and that's kind of where what I've learned in, I have to understand myself and knowing, oh, you're a visual. I know you don't really mean the way I hear between the lines what you're saying. And not only do I have to, so you trigger me, I have to calm myself down because I need to learn to not let your type trigger me, because it's obviously based on past traumas, and then not get onto myself when I do react. And so it's a lot of learning and understanding of both sides of things. And it's really good and cool to understand the types and try to see if you can figure out who your friends and family are, so that you can take a couple of extra breaths and go, okay, I know she just said that. I know I'm probably hearing it differently. Let me take a couple breaths before I say something, and then hopefully be able to not have it blow up into a huge, big, spouty issue.
Yes, absolutely. Aren't human beings complicated? Okay, so the final fourth one then?
So the fourth and final is the digital style, which of course is my husband. Our digital style, so they typically, if you're looking at someone and they're kind of up and off to the side, they're up and in their thoughts, they're trying to prioritize their thoughts and get that plan situated. So our digital people, when they go into stress, they are master fixers. See issue, fix issue, period. There is no room to worry. There's no room about feelings. There's no room about gut. There's no room about instinct. See issue, fix issue. They're very logical, rational, reasonable, computer-like, but they're detached. They go into this. They have to be calm, cool, collected. Classic Mr. Spock. They're cut off from their emotions, so they are cut off from your emotions. And so everything that's coming out is to fix this big blueprint they've got in their mind. And they can't see that it hurts or upsets because, they just don't see it. They are completely cut off. So in a lot of instances, they have no clue that there even is a problem. They wonder why you feel exasperated. They're thinking, or they're orderly, they're programmed, they're structured. So, but they don't understand that when they're this way, they tune others out. And so there's no feelings, they can't really be reached. And their motto is, I'm right, because they know what needs to happen to fix it. And they just kind of go right into that mode. And so maybe things they say or do or don't do, in my case, a lot of times it's things that he doesn't do or doesn't say that triggers me, because I'm hearing between the lines again, that'll trigger a lot of things. So that's interesting, me being tonal and my husband being digital. So those are the 4 sensory types.
Fascinating, really fascinating. That I'm sort of like you, I suppose, initially thinking that I'm sort of maybe I need to know a bit more about the first 2. I'm not really sort of resonating so much, but the latter 2. But yeah, it seems like it's a really interesting, fascinating subject. And if people want to find out more about this, Rachel, what is your best contact information?
So my best contact information right now is email, and it is all one word: frequency as a love language @gmail.com. So that's my best way for contacting me. The only other thing that I would like to suggest, I have not actually talked about this on my own podcast yet, but will be in the new year. But the other way, if you just want to hear more about any of the other topics that I do have a podcast of the same name, Frequency as a Love Language. Finding woo in everyday life. So check that out. And you can reach out to me if you have any questions.
Excellent. So any final words of wisdom or insights around the 4 sensory types that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I would. And unfortunately, I'm really not leaving it with your listeners, because my assumption is your listeners are probably more like you. And as we talked a little bit, you're a lot like me. So my guess is what I'm about to say is absolutely going to resonate with your listeners. It's more my hope, so my manifestation into the universe is that while we take the time to learn and understand about the sensory types of ourselves so that we can stop being judgmental and harsh on ourselves, but also learn about the others so that we can be less judgmental and harsh on others, because we know they can't help how they're responding in that moment. My wish and hope is that the others, the opposite side of the spectrum of personalities, the type A's, the extroverted people, the exact opposite of us, maybe some of them might listen, or maybe one of your listeners might go, hey, this was a cool conversation, to their, someone they know that is of that other type. I really wish they would take the time to understand it as well, because they have just as many struggles getting frustrated with us and me and my emotions, because they trigger me as I have with being triggered by them. If they would just take a moment and at least listen and take a couple of breaths, when we're in, or just after we're in those moments, to seek to understand and maybe be a little bit better, because usually that's the problem. So that'd be the only thing that I'd want to leave.
Absolutely. And I think, there's a great motto that, to be understood, first we have to understand it, don't we?
Absolutely.
So Rachel, thank you so much for giving us insights around the 4 sensory types. I found it a really fascinating conversation. So thank you very much for your time and your insights and your wisdom around that topic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and I've enjoyed it, and I can't wait to listen. I've listened to 2 episodes, or I listened to one, I've started a second one. So I'm trying to find ones that kind of really intrigue me. So I'm trying to go through and download a couple, and I just can't wait to listen to more. So thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. So it just leaves me to say, listeners, that true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group 2 Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.